The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
p.m. And I'd like to ask our treasurer, Rona Steeler, to say our prayer this evening. You can say it. You can say it out loud.
That's it way right here, right? Travel code assessment.
Creator, we come before you to have our mid-month meeting, and with good thoughts and feelings for our tribal membership, we have doing the best we can, and God bless all our mourners and our sick people and those currently fighting COVID. God bless our soldier boys and soldier girls that are serving currently, and let us make good decisions this evening and for our future of the Winnebago tribe. Amen.
Thank you, Rona, for that prayer. I would like to give a special acknowledgement to our treasurer, Rona Steeler, and the finance department. As you know, it's a special day. There's a tribal payment distribution. And so just to recap, the finance department has been working very hard to get this done for the tribal members. Tomorrow's the last day to pick up your check in person by 7 p.m. And after that, the rest will be mailed a Visa gift card in the amount of $500. So thank you to the finance department and all the council that had a role. So with that, council, we do have an agenda that was prepared. Do we have any additions to the agenda? The one addition I have that I added by email was for those payments and people over 21 that have not claimed them. There was an email. So I'm going to add that as item 4. Are there any further additions?
An executive session.
Okay. I'm going to add an executive session. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0. Our first item are the minutes, the 11/22/21 orientation minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0. The next set are the December 7th, 21 regular meeting. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0. 12/8/21 CEO report. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0. The next set of minutes are the December 8th, 21 special tribal council meeting COVID relief payment plan. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 6-0. Show Isaac in at 5:06. We have the 12/15/21 general council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Isaac. Would you like a second, Rona? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0. We have the 12/16/21 land meeting and enrollment update. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. We'll now move on to the ratification of the 5 signatures. Yep. The first ratification is for the acting general manager, Winnebago, thank you check. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The next one is adopt resolution 22-32 emergency enrollment for Matthew Gatt Jefferson. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The next ratification is authorizing the COVID relief payment to be paid by checks for the 20th and 21st 21 in-person distribution at the Blackhawk Center. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The last ratification is adopt resolution 22-46 approving a proposed redistricting map of the Thurston County with 4 American Indian supervisory districts, requesting adoption by the Thurston County Board of Supervisors, authorizing the chairwoman to notify the Thurston County and present this proposed map on the tribe's behalf. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Isaac. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. In discussion, I'd like to update the council that the Winnebago tribe and Omaha Nation went to Pender today and participated in that board meeting. We were joined by a delegation of the Omaha Nation, and we were joined by Councilman Louis LaRose, who made some very impactful, amazing comments on behalf of the tribe. And we requested a special meeting, and so 3 of the board supervisors submitted a written request to have a special meeting that will be scheduled on December 28th at 10 a.m. in Pender, and will be the follow-up discussion requesting that the body take action to consider our 4 voting districts as presented. I think there's an opportunity to build understanding. There's an opportunity to educate our county board on why we've presenting the 4 districts, and I look forward to that. So I hope, I've asked Rona if we could postpone the treasurer's report till 1 p.m. that day, and that we all go down there together and really try to get this passed in our favor. So that's the update on that. Any further discussion or questions?
I just want to say thank you to you, Tori and Louie, for going down there. And today's been kind of a real busy day for all of us. But I want to say thank you for going down there and representing the tribe on behalf of the people.
Thank you. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. New business, we have the Planning Department Transportation Traffic Safety Action Plan. Do we have Joy on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, hi Joy.
Hi there. So this is an updated plan. Our other one has recently expired. And so we're taking a look at transportation safety from, if you're getting from point A to point B, no matter whether it's walking, driving, riding a horse, an SUV, whatever the case may be. It covers kind of a broad spectrum from that perspective, from looking at safety. So Brittany Thomas, our new Assistant Planning and Development Director, this is her first work. So I want to give her kudos for doing a fine job on getting this rolling and following a new layout that the Department of Transportation has provided with us. So let's just kind of start. Is there any questions as council has been able to review the document?
Well, I just want to thank Brittany for joining the department and for jumping right in and starting to continue to build capacity in the department, Joy. So thank you for hiring her. It's very visually appealing. I like all the graphics. I think that this is a really prime time. We've been talking about safety. We've been talking about, you know, the tribe's emergency plan for some time, and this is another kind of body of work that lends support to all those factors. So I like how all the safety partners are listed. I think that's helpful to identify, you know, who those team members are. So that's my feedback. Anybody else have any comments?
I have one thing. I was kind of looking at some of the vehicle collisions and stuff. Joy, as we move forward, I know there's going to be a lot more construction going on in town in the future. One of the things that I was kind of interested in to try to look at was to start looking at the different sidewalks. We have some of the several sidewalks around town need to be replaced. And I just kind of want to plant that seed now. But one of the other things that's always been a big safety factor is when we have the annual powwow, we have a lot of people, and there isn't a sidewalk that goes clear out there. And then the road along there is also low lit. And so I was looking at ways and possibility of trying to get a new sidewalk put in out there, going off of the right-of-way of the BIA road. We did have a conversation with the BIA earlier when we were making some changes to the powwow grounds in reference of the parking outside the fence. So that right-of-way has a certain amount of, I believe it was 50 feet, and then there was another talk about 75 feet. But as we go forward with that, I know there's a couple of landowners that are along there that are private owners. But if there's any chance that we could start looking at the possibilities of possibly getting a sidewalk paved to the powwow grounds, as far as keeping people from walking on the road when they leave the powwow grounds. That's about what I wanted to put on there, just kind of put it on the radar. So as we move forward with these safety plans and the different things that we're looking to try to make it a little bit safer and healthier here in our community, we're able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you for bringing that up. I think that goes into extending our existing walking trail plan. And so we'll be needing to update that plan as well. So that's a good point right there, so that we can get that on the radar with Department of Transportation to address that.
Thanks, Isaac. Eric?
Yes, on your reservation accident data, what I'd like to see on that is the tribal vehicles that are that are a part of that. It says all vehicle collisions, personal injury collisions, alcohol, drug-related vehicle collisions. I just kind of like to have that broken down to so we can see where we're at with our tribal vehicles, and if there's any department ahead of any others that might need more attention in this safety area. And another thing I'd like to touch on is what Councilman Smith was talking about, the sidewalks. That's one big one that we have every year is out to the powwow grounds, and sometimes those cars they're parked way down the road and they have to walk on the road, and that creates a health hazard. And so along with those sidewalks, that I'd like to see street lights go up with those sidewalks. That's a pretty dark part of the road, and it's very heavily trafficked with foot traffic as well. And a lot of times, you know, the kids, they dress in black, and you kind of almost sideswipe those young walkers like that. And so just to help them walk in a safe area and that's well lit, because a lot of things happen out on those roads at night, especially in the summertime. And when it comes to sidewalks, we go around a reservation. A lot of these sidewalks, they just dead end at driveways. And so I'd like to have that looked at, to have someone go around the reservation and find all these dead end sidewalks and have them continue on. And one of these I was just looking at recently is one by the hospital. It goes down as you're coming in off 75, that sidewalk goes to the hospital entrance, and then it dead ends right there. That's kind of one of those sidewalks where at that roundabout, we have that roundabout, the sidewalks go around there, but if you're walking on into town, it doesn't go along that the wall by the hospital. And so to look at that as well. That's about all I had to say, talking about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And Brittany pointed out to me, appreciate you doing that, is that the assessment that we're asking for as a part of the plan, this safety assessment, to have a professional come in to look for those very things that both you and Isaac have pointed out. So that will not only identify those items that you folks have already identified, but likely to pick up some additional items that we haven't thought of as well.
Is there a motion to approve this plan as presented?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Louis. Discussion. Joy, the signature line has Tori. If you just update that to Victoria,
Yes,
it's going to be official.
thank you.
Do we any further discussion? Rona?
Just on your education portion, it's been a few years, but when we're talking about, those who are insurable by the insurance, I know we took like a safety driver's class. Can that be implemented, or some more classes offered to the community as well? That's all I
We
have.
can add, we can add that type of thing in there.
Okay, thank you.
Special place for that, Brittany.
Any further discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. The next
Thank you.
item with Planning Department is the FY22 Fact Farm Swine Fence.
Yes, this is a smaller than we normally do type of grant. But having said that, there are not a lot of funding opportunities for supporting the work out there for the community farm, tribal farm, however you want to refer to them. And they have asked to be able to expand on what they were doing with swine out there. Last year they had 2 animals, and they're wanting to increase that and use a pastured format for how they raise them. And so they have secured or made arrangements for a 1-acre parcel, and this will allow to cover most of the cost of the fencing for that. It includes putting in, I believe, 2 gates in there as well. So it'll give them an opportunity to expand that swine operation that they have out there. The other thing to note is in that acre, it sounds like from what I'm reading is that it would be sized for 4 and makes sense for somebody that's new at pasturing swine. And as they get more proficient with that they're likely to increase that capacity in that same fenced area.
Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 21-47, I believe is the next number? Teresa, is that correct?
So moved.
We have a motion by Louis to adopt resolution 22-47. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. The only discussion I have point is I'm always thanking the tribal farm team because it's a new endeavor, so we got to support it, and I want to encourage that team out there, Trey, Billy?
Blake.
Oh, Blake, and all the ones that, food sovereignty, everyone that's kind of trying to make it happen out there. I just want to say thank you guys. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item under old business is the Rise Recovery, and I had asked for this to be on a future agenda after we meet with the hospital on the 29th. So, can I have a motion to table this until we can have that meeting?
Make a motion to table this.
We have a motion by Isaac. We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. That brings us to our tribal council items, and really happy that we have our gaming commission on the phone with us, and we've had several meetings.
Tori, this is John, real quick.
Hi, John.
Before we move on from old business, I know we had the land lease policy issue. I was wondering, I know Aaron's on the line. I thought it was gonna be an agenda item, but I missed it.
I might have missed. Aaron, did you email me some stuff? If you did, I missed it. I may have missed it. I was in back-to-back engagement today. So, Aaron.
Yeah,
Okay.
I emailed the resolution drafted by Big Fire, and then I emailed the modified police policy.
Okay.
If that resolution passes.
Okay, so you sent it to the council. Okay, I'm sorry I missed your email. Yep, he emailed it to the council. We just been in the gym, kind of back and forth checks, and so. But I did commit to putting this on the agenda to Aaron if he could get it to me by today, and he did. So, Aaron, let's. John, do you want a motion to suspend the rules, or do you want to do it after these items? What do you want to do? You want to just take care of it?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay. We have a motion by John to suspend the rules to take care of the Winnebago Tribe land lease policy procedures.
Second.
And we have a second by Brian. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So before we move on to our wonderful gaming commission, Aaron, so council, as you know, we had some email traffic last week. Aaron had come in several weeks ago, and the issue for discussion was at one time, the tribal land lease policy allowed for a waiver of credit for the wholly owned tribal lease tracts. And Aaron was looking for support to waive the line of credit and update the policy for majority owned pieces. And Aaron, in his professional capacity, they submitted to lease some land, and they're asking for that waiver for the majority owned tract because it's become a financial burden to have lines of credit for all the leases that they hold for the life of the lease. And talking about just for one lease in particular, there could be $250,000 tied up that takes away from other operations and capacity. And so Aaron was looking for support on that. We had a little pushback from the BIA and the existing policy, and the tribe has the authority to do that. And, reflecting back, there probably was a time when farmers stiffed the tribe. And there probably was a time that needed to be provided. And at that time, we probably didn't have a Native American owned agriculture company owned by the tribe. We probably, I'm not sure what it looked like, but we didn't have that back then. And so the need has come forward to make that accommodation for our agriculture entity so that they can continue to lease land. And knowing that we have 2 council members that sit on the board of directors, that I don't ever anticipate us not being paid those leases. So that's the gist of it. And Aaron, did I botch that up? Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, no, you summarized that well. I think we've had that discussion. I don't think anybody missed it when we had that meeting to discuss those issues. But like you said, we had some email traffic, and then I was informed just to work on a resolution that would fix it, that would bring a solution to the issue. So that's what I did, and I sent that resolution as well as an updated tribal land lease policy, which does attached to it the new updated tribal land use policy. But it really is a real issue, and it's on a timeline. I have until Monday to get a letter of credit, otherwise I'd lose about 250 acres of tribal land and allotment land through the BIA. So that's why I was hoping we could really figure something out today to fix this, because the last thing I want to do is step away from farming the allotment ground and the majority on tribal ground, because so we're still asking for some credit. And it's really, like I said, it's really a financial burden. I even put a little bit of numbers to it. We in allotment ground, we pay about $430,000 a year. So having a letter of credit on that, it's really costing us around $860,000 a year against our line of credit, and that really limits us to do a lot of different things. So, and then it's not just us. We operate a line of credit with government contracting, with a lot of different entities within Ho-Chunk. So, it not only affects us, but it affects the other companies as well. And like Tori said, we're a credible leasing. I don't see us ever not paying our rent. And so that's why I was looking to potentially have this land lease policy amended to accommodate the issue.
Okay. Aaron, I pulled up the old one. Looking for this new one right now. So, let's see. Can you resend that, Aaron, so it goes to the top of my email?
I just resent it to the whole tribal council too.
Okay. John, while I'm trying to get this to update, you want to make a comment? I know you've been really helpful and trying to support some of these farming endeavors. You were on the former land company board, and so what we were trying to figure out is maybe when some of these changes took place, because it was our understanding that those ones also had the waiver. So we were just trying to kind of update ourselves. Do you have anything to provide on that?
Yeah, just like
I've been understanding that we're becoming more capable of doing things and having different branches of our tribe break off and be successful, that some of these policies and some of these laws are going to become old and outdated. And I think this is just one of those policies that we don't really need to apply to ourselves. Like I said, it's just gonna hold us back. And I think we really need to form these policies that really help our entities. And I think these are just one of those scenarios. And I think we're going to continue to see that, because I think some of the laws and some of the policies that pertain to the BIA and how it operates, which was primarily in a parental way from times in the past. But now that we are really capable and complex and moving forward, we're going to have to be changing these as we go. Thank you.
Kind of trouble with our Wi-Fi today, and I don't know if that's why this isn't updating.
I can't even see. I can't pull it up. Can you at least put those on that new policy on the screen so we
Yeah,
can see
can you
it?
share your screen, Aaron? Because it's not showing up.
I have it pulled up, yeah.
And then you can point out where the changes.
You're just gonna let me know what you can see, because
Yep.
I'm not used to this go-to.
We can see. Yep, we can see.
Can you see the resolution?
No, it says join webinar, so you got to close that. Go to
Minimize
or
it.
minimize it. Yeah.
Minimize your outlook.
Okay. Yeah, we can see it now.
Can you see the policy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is the updated policy, and the only language that will be changed through that resolution is down in the procedures right here on 13. It just says the tribal entity shall not be required to provide a bond under the agriculture lease. But everything else is the same.
Will you pull up the resolution also?
What is the BIA's objection?
From BIA's objection.
They were just saying that that we can only do it on wholly owned tribal land. But in this policy, it states right there in the scope, or in the purpose and in the scope, that this applies to tribal and individual owned agricultural lands. An individual owned agricultural land is allotment.
So the BIA had said we have to watch out for these individuals and we have to watch out and make sure that they're paid, and that just goes back to our point of Ho-Chunk Inc. would never not pay their leases, and if that was ever to have any type of delay, then we would ask our board members to look into it. So I feel pretty good about this. Aaron, can you pull up the resolution?
Yeah. You gotta let me know if you see it, though. Can you see it?
Yep, we can see it. So, council, do you want to see the top? Do you want to see the very final whereas? Do you want to see
Yes.
where it changed? Scroll to the
Let me
bottom.
understand.
Okay. There it goes. We're now on the therefore. It says, now therefore it be resolved that the Winnebago Tribal Council hereby adopts and approves the attached revised tribal agriculture land lease policy and procedures, including an exemption for a tribal entity from the requirement to provide a bond under an agricultural lease preference policy for lands that allow tribal entities to match the highest responsible bid in accordance with 25 CFR and other applicable law. So that's the portion that we're changing or acknowledging. So, do we have a motion to adopt this resolution and approve the updates to the Winnebago tribe land lease policy?
So moved.
We have a motion by Louis. Do we have a second?
Up the paragraph above,
Go up a little bit.
it says approved January 1, 2021. Or is it such?
2011.
amendments? 2011, then it says amendments contained in. So all that is new too, right?
So we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-48. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Brian. Discussion.
Question,
Question,
is
yeah.
this just for that one tract, or will this eventually try and be for all of them?
This is for all of them, but right now they're having an issue with one of their leases, but this would apply to all future wholly owned and majority owned. So majority means the tribe owns 51% interest, and so the tribe gets to have the say, and that's how we get to approve those. But the remaining percentage, 49%, are individuals. And so they're saying you need to have this bond because we don't want these individuals to get stiffed. And we're saying Ho-Chunk Inc. will surely pay the bill. And so that's why the ask is that a tribal entity be exempt. So we're not exempting anybody but our own. That's how I understand it, right? So,
I'm
Aaron,
reading it, yeah.
jump in if I get
Yeah.
anything wrong or if I'm steering it the wrong way.
No, that's correct. But it is a policy modification, so it's everything now and then moving forward, this policy because the BIA implements this policy already, the procedures, everything we follow, as you guys probably seen in the policy right here. I mean, it goes through each of the steps that I take, with the letter of interest, with matching the high bid in 2 days, and those entire procedures are implemented by BAA already. So this would be a modification to what they already enforce.
Aaron, I got a couple questions here, just for the membership. So, you guys match the high bid, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, I'm just trying to ask the question so the membership can understand it, far as the line of credit and what you're asking. So, how does that work? I guess, say you have a bad year and we'll say high winds, your insurance. Does that affect that insurance if you got crop damage, or how does your line of credit, how does that work? I guess kind of roll that out to the public so as they know nothing about farming, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that was one of the concerns that we heard from the BIA was, well, what if there's a drought? What if there's natural disaster that causes you to not have a crop? All of our crops are insured anywhere from 80% of our entire production to 115%, 80% being the minimum that we would get paid for. So almost all of our revenue is protected. So if we had a drought or we had a tornado and winds or something, we would collect huge insurance checks to offset those losses. And our management requires that I insure everything that way. So we're heavily insured. That's not a real concern to have a natural disaster. If we had a natural disaster, we'd get huge amounts of insurance and we'd be ready to move forward in the next year with that money.
Okay. And so that I asked that because I've been getting asked that too, and I was like, well, I'll ask him and then he can explain it to you guys. So one of the other things too is that you familiar with the tribe down south? They kind of had a gentleman, I guess, that did that, and then he kind of took him for a ride.
I didn't hear about how it happened, but I do know that the tribe down south had some corruption within their tribal farm with a non-native farmer.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with how they farmed. I think he was just sneaking loads in, or I don't want to speak on that because I don't know exactly what happened, but I think he was just taking what was in his.
Okay. I guess if there was just a little bit, how could you reassure that nothing like that would happen here? And again, I'm not trying to attack you or anything like that. I'm just saying so for the membership that asks these questions and stuff out there, so that way they can hear it for themselves and then they know.
Well, I just think that Ho-Chunk Farms is a lot more structured and managed than the Omaha Tribal Farm. So it would be nearly impossible for me to even consider doing something like that, because really he was just taking things that didn't belong to him, and something like a policy modification isn't relevant to that with what he did. But I hate to speak on the topic because I don't really know what happened. I just know that they're having a huge issue with that, with a lawsuit.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had. I just wanted to ask you those questions so the membership could kind of understand them a little bit better and stuff. I think the main thing was they were like saying, well, what if Ho-Chunk Farms don't hold up their end of the deal? Then do we still get our lease checks? Was one way that was commented to me. So I was like, well, I'm pretty sure,
I can assure you that Ho-Chunk Farms is always going to pay their rent. And having Ho-Chunk Inc. as our backing, knowing how much money they have in assets and stuff like that, I think $430,000 is a huge amount of money in relevance to the scale of Ho-Chunk.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Aaron. Any further comments or questions? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Aaron, for bringing that forward. The next item, we have our Gaming Commission. The Council had a lot of discussion in a series of meetings, and it was all leading up to the Gaming Commission's bonus and thank you check, and we wanted to make that right with the Gaming Commission. And I don't know if this should be executive session or not. I don't really know, but Does the council want to take action on this item?
I'll make a motion to grant Winnebago Gaming Commission a $2,500 Christmas bonus as in their that's stated in their budget, right? Correct?
Yeah, well, in the budget, it's 2 times a year, but at this time, it would have been this.
Just for this one.
Yeah.
This one session. Yeah. And further review. Now we got all kinds of time to.
Okay, thanks, Chloe. Do we have a second? So we have a motion on the table for a 2,500 bonus for the gaming commissioners. Does that also include the compliance officers? Okay. So do we have a second? All right, I'm gonna call one more time. Do we have a second for the motion? Okay, motion failed for lack of a second. Eric,
I'll make a motion to reduce the gaming commission's bonus down to $1,000.
does that, that's just the gaming commissioners?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Isaac. Discussion.
Are you saying just the commissioners or the whole staff?
Just the commissioners. That's what it's talking about, just the commissioners.
What will the compliance officers be receiving?
That's what I'm wondering.
Like
Does the
2,500?
does the commission give them that out of their discretion, and because we appoint the gaming commissioners, we only are over them? Or, hey Keely, was the commissioners and the whole gaming commission office, were they included in this budget, or is that a separate thing? Is Keely unmuted? I know she was on.
She says she's not muted.
Okay.
Tanya's in.
Tanya, did the other office staff receive a thank you check already?
Hi, Chairwoman, this is Keely. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Received a thank you check. As you may know, our budget for the year has not been approved. And so Chairman Pear was reluctant to move forward with any unnecessary spending, I guess, until we got word from you guys that it was going to be okay to do something like this, do a bonus without having an approved budget. So, and the staff is aware of that.
Okay. So, Eric, would you like to, in your motion, to include the compliance officers as well as the office associates?
Yes.
Would you mic please?
Yes.
Isaac, do you stand by that second?
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion?
Question. How long has that budget not been approved since the last quarter?
Probably since
Beginning of the year, right?
Well, probably since it wasn't presented this summer, and so it continued to get tabled because for a few months we didn't have our chair at the meeting with us, and then when it was presented, then there became questions and a little bit of scrutiny over that amount and how it came to be that amount. And as you guys know, we had multiple meetings on this topic. And then there was some other work underway, and so I felt like we were in a limbo in finishing up this discussion.
We were looking forward to the budget being hopefully discussed and approved at the next treasurer's report, and that would be next week. But again, before we did anything for the staff, we wanted to make sure it was, clear with you.
You got any more? Got a follow-up question or thought, Coley?
No,
Okay.
that's it.
All right, thank you. Do we have any more questions or comments?
Of the gaming commission, who's all in attendance right now?
This is Keely. I'm in attendance. And I believe Tanya is on as well. We're in 2 separate locations.
Thank you.
Okay, call for the question. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, gaming commissioners.
Council, thank you very much. I know this was a long process, and I appreciate all the questions and all the hard work, and look forward to further discussions with you next week. You guys have a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Keely. We
Thank you.
appreciate you guys as well. So the next order of business, we have the RFP for the tribal court assessment. This was tabled from the last CEO report. If you recall, it had been a really long day, and we decided to look at these at this meeting. In the packet, the one that is the most, I guess, frugal, and we have a response to the proposal from Jacqueline Long, and in the budget, the project is estimated at a total of $4,135. The next submission is from Christine Folsom and Ramona Sosi from the Sage Education. I'm looking for the total on this one. Is that what it is? Is 11,300? So 11,300 for that one. And the next one is prepared by Travis Miller. And the total for that, or the Travis Miller is the 11,300.
Cardiac.
And then the next one is the Kodiak LLC proposal for services. And that total is $46,274. Does the council, would you like to select one of these proposals? The one that seems to be the most economical is the one for 4,300. Or excuse me. My papers here. That's the 46. Travis is the.
Yes. Tori, if you kind of just want to recap for membership of
Okay.
how we got here.
Okay, sure. So for the membership's information, over probably the past year or more, Tribal Council has had continued outreach and concern from the tribal members that believe they're not getting due process in our court, or discrepancies in bonds, and just a lot of concerns. And the Tribal Council, by our ethics policy, cannot intervene in active court cases if it doesn't involve ourselves or our families. And so when tribal members come to us in distress, it often feels like we can't help them. We can try to ask some questions, try to find out the gap. And what we came upon was that, and we had also had a tribal court assessment by the Department of Interior, and that was during the pandemic, and they weren't allowed, or not allowed, they weren't able to do their field work because of the pandemic. And that document was helpful, but it didn't answer the questions that the council wanted to know, mostly about caseload. They wanted to know about various metrics with the tribal court. And so from there, the tribal council decided to put out an RFP to solicit these services and for them to come in and look at the aspects that weren't already assessed and to come up with some type of report that would say for X amount of caseload, you should have X amount of public defenders, or for X amount of things like that, that we would find how we could continue to support our court, build up our court for the membership's benefit, because right now we think that there may be some gaps in our services. So that's how this all came about, and we're just anxious to find the answer and engage with a consultant to bring that forward. The three that you heard from here today have highlighted their experience in, they're all attorneys. They all have a variety of experience, and they also have a wide range of cost. So, Councilwoman Decora, although she was abstaining, she was in favor of the Jacqueline. I'm in favor of Jacqueline Long. I don't know if you guys like another one or if we have a motion on the table, but I just wanted to get some action tonight on this agenda item.
That Jacqueline one, that's the 41.
Yeah,
So
it's this one. 4135.
yeah.
I would be in favor of the second one, the Travis Miller, just because it seems like that, going by the times, the first one was like 90 hours, and we're getting more time out of the second one. And it's a pretty big price gap between the second and third, the bid. And so I'm in favor of the Travis Miller, the second one.
Thanks, Eric, for sharing that. Is there any other discussion, or do we have a motion?
This was in our CEO report.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we tabled it. So.
So I guess I was looking at the other one here for 46. But the other one with the Jacqueline for the 40 or 4135. I guess the way I look at it is kind of like how that one says 90 hours calculated as 30 hours per week. So I guess if we're having somebody come in and look at the court system itself, my thoughts are that we kind of don't want somebody that's just going to kind of come skim through, because then we're kind of just going to be right where we could end up in the same place we're at. And then
I'm just jotting them down, because since they're in the packet and they're double-sided, it's kind of hard to.
yeah.
So that's why it's all the confusion for the membership. This was in a former packet and they're double-sided and they're multiple pages, so just get them straight.
I guess I would agree with Dusty on the middle one. It's got more hours that they would spend on looking at things. It sounds like there's I mean, when you hear a lot of the membership's complaints and it varies from divorce court to code revision to all these different things in there. There's a lot, and when you start looking at the court system itself, I'm not saying they're doing a real terrible job, but there's always room for improvement. And it seems like there's been several times where things could have gotten better, but due to the lack of staff or whatever we want to say it is to, I think sometimes we all need somebody to look at what we're doing and to kind of help us refocus on the direction that we're supposed to be going in. And the ultimate direction is to be fair to everybody when it comes to some of the little things, as far as the little court cases and stuff. But the other big thing is that I see is that we don't have enough staff down there is what I kind of see, as far as like I'm not trying to pick on anybody or anything, but like far as the prosecutor, what if we had 3 prosecutors, you know, and 3 juvenile prosecutors, you know? I mean, there's a lot of detail in that discussion, but if we had a bigger workforce down there, things might be able to flow a little bit easier. So I'm kind of leaning towards that as this would help identify the areas that need to be strengthened. The more time that we are able to have this team look at that and develop that. So I guess with that, I would make a motion to support the Travis Miller bid on that. I mean, all we can do is put it to a bid, see where it goes. So
So where's this, okay, so we're gonna make this motion. Does the courts have enough money in their budget for this? Or where's this coming from?
I assume this was coming from the tribal council since we called for the RFP.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
So it goes under
Contracts.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion for Travis Miller to approve the proposal received from Travis Miller bidding on the consulting services assessment of Winnebago Tribal Court. We had a motion from who? Isaac. We have a second from Eric. Discussion.
Comment.
Coley.
I would probably object to the motion. I would object. I think the court is half, you know, finish that sentence, but I think our people need to start coming to work, just like our other program that's in trouble. You know, that they're young, inexperienced, and where are we at with hiring that court administrator? I hope this court administrator is educated, but has at least decades of service in the court administration, not fresh out of college and no experience, and that's something we need for our people, is that experience. Not jumping right into a program and not having the experience to run it. I have no idea who the next court administrator is going to be, but that's what we need. Just to come to work and concentrate, 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, and do the job. Follow the code, policies to the T. Dot all the, the words. Dot all the I's and cross the T's and stuff, and that's what we need to do. Just start following our codes and finishing the caseloads and letting these people our people need to if they need to be punished, or if they're guilty and continuously, then yes, it has to be done in order to become well. Somehow, that's what we're shooting for. That's what this court is for, and these programs, to trying to make us well. And we just need to follow, and I just think, we need experience and start coming to work and concentrating on the job that needs to be done in these certain programs. It's a half. It's a good, it's a good court, has been. And like Isaac said, you were just shorthanded, and put everything to a side and, come to work and do your job. And things could probably improve that way. That's all.
Thanks, Coley. Isaac.
So to kind of add a little bit to that, I guess to try to buy Coley's vote in on this is my thoughts behind this is that this consultant here will come in look the court over, identify the weak areas, and then through that, by that time that they're doing that, then we could probably try to make sure that we get that court administrator hired, and then they'll be able, with a fresh mind, to come in and say, okay, this is what the consultants are recognizing. So these are some of the problem areas that you might want to pick up and go with right off the bat to try to enforce those. So that's kind of where my thought is and doing this, it even brings up a bigger picture. The tribe used to, and I can't remember the actual date or what year it was, but I know that at one time the tribe called in a different company, and they went through all the tribal programs and they assessed those tribal programs, and then I think it took like about a month, and they went through all the tribal programs and they identified some of the things that they could be doing better at. And I think the follow-up with that was they didn't really they weren't able to get through all of them because of the time frame, but it really showed some of the strengths in some of the other departments that were coming forward. And so that way the council at the time could focus on, when it came to appropriations, of how to appropriate a little bit more funding over in that area so they could fix that part in their program. And so that's something that I always wanted to try to look at, was saying, you know, what would that look like? How much would that cost of having all the tribal programs assessed, you know? And then sit down with these tribal programs and say, hey, you know, here's some things that we could probably change or would help you. And one of the things too is, if you look at a lot of the tribal programs and you actually just reach out to them and ask them, what's 3 things that you could change with your department to make it better? They'll tell you. And a lot of times you'll hear, one of the things that I've heard the most was, we need more staff. From any department in there, we need more staff. We're short-handed with staff. And then the number 2 thing that I've always heard was that it's not worth the pay. You know, it's kind of like when you come in and if I pay you to cut my yard for $50, you're going to do a good job. But if I pay you $5, you're probably going to push that mower real fast and leave all the dandelions behind and mow over the trash. And, you know, so I guess that's kind of my mindset on thinking about this, was to try to go out, pick the middle one, I guess. So I don't know if that changes your mind, Mr. Brown, but sure appreciate it. That's all I got.
Okay, I got a comment, and it was building on Coley's comment, but I didn't have the answer. But after he asked that, I went looking for it. The motion on the table for Travis Miller, you'll notice that he graduated in 2018 from law school, so he's got a solid 4 years of experience. The Sage, they've got 30 years of experience. The Jacqueline Long, she graduated law school in 1976. So those are a little bit more experienced, seasoned professionals, but I'm not saying that the Mr. Miller is not excellent. I'm just saying he's fairly new. Oh, Louis?
No, I'm not listening.
Did you have a comment, Louis?
No.
Okay. Alright. So I just wanted to mention that. So we have a motion on the table. We have a second. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Valid. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, say aye or signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Isaac, Eric, Brian, Louis. Opposed?
Aye. Forward.
Coley, Rona. John, how are you voting?
I was kind of back and forth on this one, but I agree with you on the experience part with you and Coley. I think we do need some more experience to get a good view of our core system. So
We lost you.
Last year, I've
No?
I vote no.
Okay.
No.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion carried 4-3-0. So thank you, council, for the discussion on that item. Mr. Miller, motion carried. Our next order of business is we have a youth match request. I spoke to the mother of this young lady and looking for my packet. And so this young lady, her name is, where are we at here? Her mother is Patricia Hewlett, and the daughter's name, is it Hazel? I know that was her email address. Is it Tiala?
Chiala Long.
Tiala Long is the youth. And so I talked to her mother, Patricia, and this is Joanne Baker's granddaughter, just to, if you guys don't know this young lady. And so she was writing to request a match or some financial support. From what I understand, you know, she had some hardships in her life, and just, you know, some of our youth, as we know, have some hardships. And so her self-esteem and things, you know, she wasn't in a good place, so her family put her in a program that helped build her up and get her feeling healthy. And from there, she got involved in some acting activities, and it was a real positive thing for her, that it gave her something to keep her busy and keep her knowing that she had a purpose, and that it was something to be positive in her life. So from there, she was selected for some type of competition. Do we have those guys on the line? I'm just talking about what I remember. Do we have Patricia or Joanne or maybe even the young lady? Okay, well, I'm just going to keep talking what I remember. So the family had been financially supporting her acting and things, and then she was selected for an NYLA talent, and they have to travel to California. And so from there, the mother has been trying to think of ways to fundraise. I think she was doing a raffle, and so that's what I know about it, and that's who they are and what it's for. But so I asked her to put any of her fundraising things in here, but they may still be underway. But these are what they've paid out as a family and some of their expenses. So to this point, they've been just sponsoring it themselves, but when it comes to traveling to California as a family, they need some help.
I'd like to know what the total cost is, and if we did a match, how much that would be.
Well, that's what I was looking for. That's not in the packet because I told her that the policy for youth match is up to $2,000.
Would it be okay to do a motion for $1,000 if that's what we'd be matching then? At the most?
Yeah, I mean, well, they can match up to $2,000, but they need to provide some of the documentation. And so she's got some of it in here, but we would probably need her fundraising, the outcome of her raffle, which I don't know if it's been awarded yet.
They've made payments already. I'm trying to get it here. 771 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7.
So some of the expense that they still haven't, they found out renting a minivan was really expensive. Flying a whole family out to support their daughter is really expensive. So they're trying to basically come up with money to rent a van and get her parents and...
Can we have Garen call them? They have their phone number on here, and maybe get them on the phone.
Okay.
According to this payment plan, they've already paid this much.
So they've paid $14.96. Oh no, that's their hotel. So this is how much they've paid. I guess payment plan. These are the payments they've made, and it's a total of $6,400 that the family is paying on their own. Well, maybe they're obviously continuing to pay on it. because their next payment, they made their last payment on December 1st, and so what does the council want to do?
Well, if they've already paid $6,000, then I'd like to make a motion to do that $2,000 for them then, because that's way less than half of it, and so I'd like to make that motion for the family.
So we have a motion by Eric to provide a $2,000 under the youth donation policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Isaac. Discussion.
I guess if we can request them to bring in a little bit more documentation just for our records.
Okay. We've passed motions before contingent on them bringing in the stuff. So the good thing is that this event is in January, so we got a little bit of time. Sometimes teams come in and it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this gives us a little time. Yeah. So we have a motion by Eric and we have a second by Isaac. Any further discussion?
I would be happy with 3,000.
That's very generous of you, Louis, but the policy only allows us to match up to 2,000 unless you want to do something different. You guys standing by the two? That's how much is in the policy, unless we
I would
revise.
agree with the policy.
Thank you, Louis, for your generosity and your good thought. So, any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0. The next item that was added to the agenda, this came through the email today, and finance had reached out, and let me pull that up. Finance had reached out because there is a list of tribal members that turned 21, and they have not claimed any of their payments. So the email traffic started with a list of 21-year-old and over. Basically they want to release the money, and they need the council to approve releasing these that have either turned 21 and haven't claimed this, or there's a list of people that have either disenrolled or are deceased, and so they just need an approval to kind of clear this off the books. So there's under disenrolled, we have Charisma Armel, Truman Armel, Angelina Little Walker, Ricardo Little Walker. Already received their minor trust fund, Carmen Cleveland, Mark Humphrey. Deceased, there's 3 names. Over 21, we have a whole list of names not eligible for trust fund, and there's 1 name. So this is in the email and just requires action by the council.
Motion to authorize the adjustment as requested.
We have a motion by Brian. Do we have a second? We have a second by Louis. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. That brings us, council, to the end of our agenda until we go into our executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. We're going to enter executive session at 6:16 p.m. And I believe there's another link for Brian, John, and Louis who are on the phone.
Are you ending the meeting after
Yep, yep.
5 minute
We'll
intermission.
adjourn from executive session. Council Rona may have to go back to the gym and finish up the check distribution, so we should maintain our quorum.
Can we take a 5?
Yes, yes.
Yes, smoke 30.
Take a 5. See you in executive session.